Ibn Sina, often known in the West as Avicenna, was a Persian polymath born in the 10th century with his contributions ranging from medicine, psychology, physics, astronomy, chemistry, philosophy, and all other different fields. But he was also a poet, an Islamic scholar, and a theologian. He has written many books in the course of his life, but one of the most important contributions to medical science was his famous book, the Canon of Medicine, which is a book with an immense 5-volume encyclopedia on medicine containing over 1 million words. Now, one of the reasons why I'm making this video is because I've been extremely fascinated and interested in how so many people in the past, all of these scholars, all of these polymaths, especially in the Islamic Golden Age, they were so knowledgeable to the point that they didn't only master one single topic but many different topics, and they wrote hundreds of books in the 60-70 years that they've been living on the face of this earth. And it's so fascinating, and that's why I thought it would be amazing for me to learn more and more about these people and understand and try to crack the secrets of productivity and how they were able to store so much knowledge and understand so much, even though all they had, just like us, is 24 hours every single day. Which is why hopefully in this video I'll be doing so much research and spend so much time on this project to understand more about them, their daily lives, their daily routines, and how they came about to be able to come to this level where their knowledge is so high. And after hours of researching, this is some of the things that I've compiled. Now, one thing that I found out is that the term and the concept of quarantine, which has been going quite viral since this entire coronavirus thing came up, is that it was actually first proposed by Ibn Sina. In his classic work, the Canon of Medicine, which was published in the 11th century, he talked about this isolation method of the 40-day rule. Now, this 40-day rule in Arabic was called al-razi, and this was an isolation method to keep those people who were infected from not going out there and spreading this contagious disease. In the mid-13th century, when the Black Death appeared, all of the crew docking in Venice had to actually stay on board for 40 days until they could finally go back to land. And this was called by the people of Venice quarantina, and this is how we got the word quarantine from quarantina. Now, one of the other things that a lot of the scholars of the past used to do is that they used to read and write a lot, and what they would do is that they would read from the scholars of the past as well as learning from the teachers, and they would use this knowledge that they learn to transmit it to other people by writing it down in terms of books, and to also teach it verbally to their own students. So one thing that I've been doing every single week for the past few weeks is that I've actually been reading some books that I've been getting, either just getting an actual physical book or just getting an ebook. And one thing that I learned from this is that it brings so much benefit, and you're gonna learn so many things, and you're gonna be exposed in many different fields. And one of the ways that they were polymaths and they had so much different knowledge is because they used to read many different works, and they would challenge themselves. They would constantly put themselves in a new territory, in a new topic, and they would try to understand and learn from it. So what I'm going to be doing right now is just reading a little bit, telling you about my thoughts and benefits of reading in general, and how many of these scholars have used this reading to understand so much and to kind of put it into their own lives and to try and develop themselves further. And one of the other things that I want to do is, you guys know that I've been tutoring and teaching for the past 3 years since the age of 16, and I've got a student today that I'm going to be teaching him hopefully, and kind of try and talk to you guys about some of the things that I learned from teaching, and how some of these scholars back in the days, the benefits that you can get from teaching people and also from reading a few books and understanding more about different topics. There are way too many benefits when it comes to reading, but one amazing benefit I found from reading is that it constantly exposes a person to different scenarios and settings, understanding more about the history of the world and the different topics surrounding it, the mystery behind it, the keys behind it. And it also allows a person to sometimes de-stress while also learning new things. And the more I read, the more I understand about how complex and beautiful the world and its history is. Teaching is also part of the daily lives of many of the scholars of the past, and that is transmitting the knowledge that they learned to the future generation. With today's technological advancements, teaching can come in many forms, such as this video that you're watching, which is a project compiled and worked on by me. But I also love to physically teach people. Although sometimes it can feel tiring and stressing, it comes with so many benefits. Your teaching skills improve, your communication skills improve, your leadership skills, your patience, your discipline and consistency all improve the more you teach others. You are exposed to different scenarios, and it requires you to deal with each student in a different way. And not only does it intellectually stimulate you, but it allows you to build a student-teacher relationship where you help them to become a better version of themselves, and you motivate them and you inspire them and you bring the best out of them so that they can take that role that you're playing and perhaps bring benefit to the world one day. Now, another thing to keep in mind when you're trying to be like some of the scholars and you want to follow some of the footsteps is to look at the food that you eat, because the more you eat, the more you will drink and the more you will sleep. Now again, Ibn Sina did write around 450 books in the 60 years that he lived in, and that is so insane and amazing. But when you think about it, if you want that sort of achievement, if you want that sort of knowledge, then there are many things that you'd have to sacrifice sometimes throughout the course of your life, from your daily activities such as eating, drinking and sleeping. And a lot of the scholars of the past, especially scholars such as Imam al-Nawawi and Ibn Sina and all other scholars, they would have to regulate what they eat and how much they sleep, because sometimes you might think that eating and stuff like that might not make a difference, but that extra 5 minutes, extra 10 minutes, extra 15 minutes that you spend on different activities around your daily lives, that will accumulate at the end of the year, and you will see it will be like 5, 10, 15 days of the entire year is gone just on you doing that specific activity. So a lot of these scholars in the past, they had to regulate their time. And one thing that I learned through trying to regulate my time is that it is definitely very, very hard. But again, if you do have that structured plan that you follow and you keep it consistent, then it is bearable and it is possible. However, it does come with many sacrifices, and this is just something that every single person has to make if you want to get to that level. There are things that you have to prioritize, and there are things that you have to sacrifice. And another thing about a lot of these scholars is that towards night time, when everybody else is sleeping at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, during tahajjud time, they would be praying to the Lord, asking for forgiveness, and they would ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide them and to give them knowledge. And they would have this time where they would reflect, recite the Quran, become closer to the Lord, and ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make the matters easy for them, and all of this other stuff. And this is probably one of the things a lot of the people nowadays are neglecting. People are going to sleep late at night and then they wake up late in the morning, whereas a lot of the people of the past, of the scholars, they would go to sleep after Isha, or they would go to sleep at a reasonable time, but they would wake up in the middle of the night when everybody else is sleeping to worship their Lord, and to have that time where it's just them and the Lord. And sometimes this time that you have with your Lord, this time that you have while everybody else is sleeping and is gone, and you are the one standing up in the prayer making dua, perhaps this is one of the the tricks and the secrets of the productivity. And this entire video that I've been making, it's slightly different from what I make usually, but it's one of those videos where I really wanted to research and understand and kind of try some of the routines of some of the scholars, especially Ibn Sina, which is the person that we've mentioned, Avicenna, in this video. And it's sometimes it still makes it so hard. Even when you try to follow the routine, it makes it so hard, because you realize how hard and consistent and how disciplined they had to be in order for them to achieve what they have done, so that the future generation could benefit from it. All of these works, all of these books that they published, they helped us out. But again, it's this was just like a small snippet of how great a lot of the scholars were. And Ibn Sina, the entire biography and stuff like that, I will be putting some links down in the description below, hopefully. But again, this is just one of the scholars that I chose from a list of other scholars such as Ibn Taymiyyah and Nawawi. And hopefully this will be a series, and perhaps I can do more scholars, more historians as time goes, to see what I can learn from their daily routines and what I can learn from them in general, and also share this knowledge with you guys. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and most importantly, I hope you guys took some sort of benefit from this video, and hopefully we can learn something at least from the daily lives of a lot of these scholars. And in today's episode, Ibn Sina. And as always, follow my socials if you want to see more important stuff, more interesting stuff that I put on my social media, from the things that I do, from the lessons that I learn, from all of these different things that I'm trying out as time goes. And again, hopefully there is some sort of benefit that you can take from it. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in my next video, inshallah. Take care, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.